Probably got most of the initials in there, yeah, absolutely. And I've seen Greg's presentation a couple of times before, and it is really quite amazing. So I won't say anything further and just hand you over to Greg.
Thanks, Charles. Hi, good morning, everyone. Everyone settled with coffee and water? All good to start? So, I'm Gregory Roekens, and recently appointed CTO for AMV BBDO. AMV BBDO is actually a advertising agency, a traditional advertising agency, specializing, and they've been one of the best for the last 20 years doing lots of above-the-line advertising in TV ads and so on. So I'll just run a very quick 1-minute reel to show some of the ads that we've been working on. Not me, because I've just joined, but the agency. So that's AMV. We're working across 80 different brands. Today's topic is to talk about mobile. But before I do, I wanted to do a quick survey. And can you please raise your hands if you have a smartphone? Good, everyone pretty much, right? Keep it up if it's an iPhone. Who has an Android? That's about 20% probably. Who has a Windows phone? Yeah, 2 of us. BlackBerry, quite a few. And keep it up if you also have a second phone, because quite often the BlackBerry is sold by the office, and then you want your personal one, which is a different one. Nokia, yeah, good choice. And who has no phone? I did that, where was it again? In London, one person had no mobile phone, and I found that quite surprising. Now, let's carry on. Tablet. Up, if you've got a tablet. About 40, maybe 50%. And keep it up if it's not an iPad. Yeah, good. So if really, mostly iPads is in the market right now for tablets. That's about to change because there's so many competition now. But who has obviously a laptop? Most of us. And a desktop at home, personal, or in the office. Who has all 4? And regularly use it all together. I find myself, actually, when I build this presentation in my kitchen, using all 4 at the same time. On my computer, I've got a touchscreen desktop in my kitchen where I do a lot of music. That was running Spotify. I had my tablets to check my Twitter, and I had my mobile where I was doing email. All 4 at the same time. Even coming on the way here, I was using 3. Mobile, tablet, and my laptop. The reason I'm asking here is, now we've just talked about what is mobile. If we ask ourselves, what is mobile? We all think it's the thing we've got in our pocket, right? But is it really that? Is it this device we take between sofas and desktop? Because if that's what it is, there's 3. There's laptop, mobile, and tablet now. If we talk about mobile phone, it started with the phone. And you'll remember, maybe not all, but I certainly do, this phone where you had to dial the number, and we hated the people who had zeros. It took forever. One day we decided we need to take this in our streets, and that became the mobile phone, which we all know and loved. And then in 2007, Apple launched the smartphone. That's where things changed, because now it wasn't just a voice device, but you get data with you and connect to the internet all the time. So it became the smartphone. So the question I ask myself is, what is mobile? Because in a way, those devices, they're actually fixtures of an overall journey. And if you think about what the mobile element is the experience you get through the journey. So let me give you an example. Spotify. The other day, I went to south of France, in Saint-Tropez, and I decided to take my car. Might sound crazy, but I quite like driving. So I actually drove overnight as well. So I worked all day, and I was in the office, and I listened to Spotify a lot, so that's my desktop interface. Then I went back home to pick up my wife and daughter, and I've got a motorbike and mobile, Spotify's on it, Bluetooth to my helmet, and I listen to the music. And then I picked up my wife, took the car, started driving. My wife was then doing DJ in the car with the iPad, again using Spotify, Bluetooth into the dashboard and listening to the music. So in here, what was mobile was Spotify, not the device, because that's what I took with me. And if you think, a lot of things you do across all those devices is moving from one to another. So this is very important for the applications that runs and the experience you provide from brand, is to make sure that this is consistent. Another great example is doing your shopping with Tesco, for instance. So connected consumers want connected experiences. And this is really what I want to talk about today, is about experiences. And I'm going to talk to you about what I call the experiential revolution, which is a new form of industrial revolution, where we're moving from a service economy to an experience economy. And this is very significant. Let me give you a few examples. But before I do, I forgot. Anyone can tell me what's in common with those two guys? So we've got James Watt and Tim Berners-Lee. They're both responsible for the revolution. So James Watt invented steam power, and that led to the Industrial Revolution, which affected and changed people's life and the economy in the same time. Tim invented the web in the early 90s, and that is giving us what, as I said, I call the Experiential Revolution. So, a few examples. If you go in every other pub or bar in Soho, you need to go for an urgent need, you're going to get some sort of experience. Even the most basic things can be turned into some sort of experience. You probably have seen this before. If you see a guy with a phone and it looks like he's shopping in an alley, this is actually a tube station. And this is in Korea, and Tesco put all those billboards, and you could do your shopping with your mobile phone. And the guy is so absorbed by it, he's actually missing his train as well. So again, it's things you can take with you anywhere. This is a great one. Domino's Pizza, you can order. In the past, you're picking the phone, 2 minutes, get me a pizza, and then a guy turns up at the door and gives you the pizza. Now you can do it online. The thing you can do is actually track the pizza. So you can see when it's placed, it's been prepared, it's been baked. The thing is, I watch it every single time. I did again this week. And I interact with the brand for 20 minutes because I wait for this order. And when it's there, I'm always watching through my window and I listen for the moped to come in. So, I'm interacting now with the brand for 20 minutes, where before I was just some guy on the phone and Domino's or whatever, it didn't matter. So experience, very important. I'm going to show you another video that AMV's produced last year, which is for ringless, one of the chewing gum. I'll let the video speak. Doesn't speak. So the idea, you know what? I'll try to get a sound, otherwise I'll speak it over. It is. Thank you.
Designed to actually stimulate the senses. Their request to us was how can we make this even more front of mind for target 15 to 25-year-olds. Our answer? To stimulate their senses in a way they've never experienced before. And the best way to do that? Their smartphones. We set out to create a game that would take them on a very different journey. So how can thousands of video game apps already out there. We decided to make one without video at all. Instead, we use the very latest 3D binaural sound technology to create the ability of seeing not with your eyes, but with your ears. On April 21st, we launched the result, The Night Jar. The Night Jar is a thriller straight horror story about a spaceship on a decaying orbit around a black hole. You have only minutes to live on this to escape. Life-threatening hazards and brain-eating aliens are everywhere and with 12 levels of ever-increasing danger. And you can't see a thing.
That's quite cool. I'm going to stop it there. The idea is it's always sound. So you've got your headset on and it's using 3D sound, and the whole experience is provided through sound. So it's trying to play with your senses. So again, it's a great example of trying to deliver experiences for chewing gum in this case. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the innovations, because that's really like in 200 years ago, that's what is leading to the revolution we're seeing here. And I classify them in two categories. First one is around UI, or what's called user interfaces. And for the last few years, we've seen so many different ways to interact with machine now, where in the past it was just a screen, a keyboard, and a mouse. Now we can touch it, we can speak to it, we can gesture. It's all called natural user interfaces, because it's almost like if I was speaking to someone. So touches, there's so many ways you can use the devices. Speech is amazing, because the way it works is using what's called machine learning. So the idea here is that when you speak and you say, for instance, on the edge, Birmingham, and I've got quite a strong accent, when Google returns a list of results and I click on one of those, Google takes this as a validation. It means I did the job right. I'm going to now save this voice pattern, mine, and index it against those keywords onto the cloud. So if someone else has a similar accent, then I will know how to interpret those. So the machine will get better and better over time, and therefore the speech recognition will get better and better over time. Kinect, you're familiar with that. There's new ways now as well. There's a new gimmicks that are going to come for Christmas, where you can really, just by using gesture, you can interact with the machine. And one of the latest one is brain-machine interfaces. And I've got one in my bag, actually. I could do a demo later on if you want. And you literally think, concentrate, and you can interact with the computer. You can get it to do things just by thinking. So that's a lot of innovation in user interfaces. The second very important one is artificial intelligence, AI. And this guy, Jeff Hawkins, is quite an important guy, because he got us to think differently. He's the guy who invented the Palm Pilot, if you all remember. That's the first PDA most of us had, and we had to learn this new alphabet. He's actually a neuroscientist, and he wrote a book called On Intelligence, which I highly recommend. It's a very easy read. And he's trying to understand how this works. And his main findings in the book is that intelligence is not characterized by behavior, but by our ability to predict. And this is significant, because up until then, we're trying to get the machine to behave. But what we needed to do is to predict. So I'm going to show you some example as to why prediction is the way we work and what makes us human. Think about the door you open every morning. If I was to change the handle by a couple of inches up or down, or introduce a noise into the door, or even change the weight of the door, you would notice it. You'd go in and it's like, oh, there's something different. That's because you are predicting. As you walk towards the door, you've done it yesterday, so your brain has memorized it. Because it's different, it triggers an alert. Here's another example. We've seen those words so many times, it's imprinted in our brain, and we don't even need to, it's memorized. We just see the first and the last one, and we predict what the word is. It could be a long word as well. It's even worse when you're really that close. You're physically, you're affected because your brain is used to read this side, and it's because it's all over the place, and you just don't know, and you feel a bit seasick. You recognize who this person is. It's quite dark. Even dark like that, you know straight away who that person is. For a machine, it's very hard because there's only a little bit of information. But what we do is we map the whole, it's imprinted here, so we can predict the rest of the phase and then put a name on it. This is another example. This is an entirely different set of data. It's just raw. For a machine to see this is completely different. For us, we can very quickly memorize it because we've got it imprinted there. So up until recently, that was impossible for a machine to recognize people on, on images or even videos. And now it is. And we talk a lot about Facebook doing it, and iPhoto can do it. This is Picasa, Google, which were really the first one to put it on mass market. And I've tagged myself once, and I appear thousands of times in all those pictures, and so does my wife and daughter and so on. But you recognize me in all those different configurations, with my face partially covered, glasses as a Santa when I was 11 years old. And even here, you can't see it properly, unfortunately, but this is my me, which is my Wii avatar. And this is a drawing. This is not a real photo. I took a picture of my daughter in front of the screen, and then it tagged my daughter, and it tagged myself, says this is you. So we got a machine here who can recognize people and even drawing, which is absolutely amazing. So let's combine the two together. Great UI and great artificial intelligence give us things like this. We need the sound again.
Exactly. See? Everything we need. Well, great. Let's get started then. You've got to put these goggles on. Goggles? Put them on like this. Okay. What? Like that?
Claire has been thrown a pair of goggles. Notice what she did. This was the act is, she felt the need to reach down for those goggles. Now, everybody, every single person that has experienced this reaches out. Because they feel so connected to wireless work.
Cool. So what are we doing?
Look at what's happened
On the
here.
edge.
Look at the surface on the water.
Look at It's not too
You
hot.
see her reflection, like she was really standing above water.
You're a monster. Cheeky.
I'm going to stop there, but this is fascinating. We see a human interacting with an avatar and just talking to each other. This is a solution that works. It hasn't reached mass market yet, but it's going to come at some point. So what we are building right now with the web and all those databases is a global brain. And every neurons, we can compare this with neurons in our brains are databases. So if you think about Facebook, LinkedIn, we talked a lot earlier, Twitter, my bank account, what I blog, all those emails, there's a lot of data, but they're not connected. Once we can, and some already happen, we talked earlier today, and Marie spoke about APIs. Those are the synapses. So when those will open, and there's going to be a lot of synapses or APIs connecting, talking to each other, we're going to be able to use that amazing power of data to really deliver great experiences to people. I'll come back to that actually in a second in more details, actually right now, talking about virtual assistants. So we are all going to have PAs, and actually a lot of us already have. It's that's Siri, which Apple launched last year. And if you think about that, it's actually an extremely powerful virtual assistant. It can do things for you. If you're a murderer, it's very helpful as well. It will tell you where to hide body. But what's amazing is that thing we have in our pockets, they start to have a lot of human characteristics. We all have 5 senses. And those 5 senses, that camera, that smartphone has 3 of them. It can see, it can hear through microphones, and it can touch. We can touch it, and it feels touches through touchscreens. Can't smell or taste yet, but it actually has other senses that we don't have. Balance and acceleration. It can detect that. It can detect its location. So you take a phone, you put it somewhere, turn the GPS, and it knows exactly where it is. It's not the same for us. Orientation, it knows where north is from south and so on. Temperature, through apps, there's a lot of senses. So that device we have also has a brain. We just have a global brain. That's the cloud. Siri accesses this global brain online. So what this means is, and we talked a little bit this morning, Simon spoke about search engines and SEO and so on, and about Apple and Siri. Well, if you think about it, searching is not great. Thanks it's there, it really helps us deal with the web right now. But we're too busy to do searches. Searching to do things is not efficient. What we all want is do. We want this thing in our pocket or at home to do things for us. Book my holiday, book me a restaurant, and so on. So Apple went into Siri. That's really their long-term vision, is to go after Google. And Google has a technology, and they've just launched I forgot the name now, it's not Play, it's another one, but they really don't promote as much as Apple does with Siri, because their whole business model is with that result page and the Google AdSense, and that's driving 90% of their revenue. So they've got to be very careful, because if you've got a do engine, then you don't really watch a screen anymore, you just interact by voice. So what attribute would the best PA have? Well, it would predict all your needs and wants. We don't want to tell the PA what to do all the time. You know me, you know my habits, you know what I'm allergic to, and I like window seats and so on. So, but for that to work, the machine needs to know everything about you. And that's quite interesting, and you say, hang on, everything? Kevin Kelly is a futurologist, an amazing guy. Search for him on the web, he's very well known. He said this: total personalization requires total transparency, and that is the price. So if you think about total transparency, this is quite big. Should I just put my credit card details on the blog for everyone to see? No. But it's about total transparency with the brand or the people you trust. And we all build naturally what's called circles of trust. And that's what Google's tried to do with Google+, is to build those circles of trust. And some we have more trust, and some we can be completely transparent, and the other less so. So, but what I'm interested in here is the price. So if we say data is the price, what is the currency? How much is it worth? If we say data is a currency, and there's interesting here diagram which is called the Akerlof allocations of mental space, and this is very simple. This is the layers we go through our life. From when we're born, we see the world as a lot of data, and then as we grow older, we go and hopefully get all the way to the vision. But our brain uses 40% of mental space to process data into information. A further 30% to go to knowledge. A further 20 to go from knowledge to wisdom, and the last 10%, which you could argue is the most important, is used for to go from wisdom to vision. So it wouldn't be great if we could use technology to help shifting that, get the machine to work that for us, and free that 40%. Well, guess what? If you think about Excel spreadsheet, that's exactly what it does. It takes a lot of data, turns this into bar charts, and then gives you information straight away. You don't need to mentally process all those data, it's done for you. So that's been done for decades now. But wouldn't it be great if we could go a bit further and get the machine to deliver knowledge to us? And Simon again spoke about semantic web earlier. This is the answer. Now we can get machine to deliver knowledge to us. I don't need to ask if you've heard of semantic web before, because you have. But I'm going to do a quick test. And I'm going to ask you if anyone can tell me what this is. This is how Google sees the web. And those who've seen the presentation can play. Yes. You can get one at the next break. Bloody Mary. So, but again, you've used your brain, because then you extracted information, you put them in context. That's the key things about semantic web. Semantic add context to words. So knowledge can be detected more easily. Earlier Simon talked about it could be location, where you base and so on, but this is very important. So tomato, in this instance, is used as is an ingredient of a recipe. Salt is an ingredient. Worcester, olives. New York is the city where it was invented by a guy called Jessel in 1939. Well, the French claim that it was invented in 1921 in Paris by a guy called Joseph Petiot. So I've just delivered you with some words, information. I've just given you knowledge. Now we can get machine to do that for us. A couple of examples, and write it down. Quickie.com is fantastic. I love the name, by the way. Quickie.com is information experience. So it delivers you, it provides you information, but vocally, and it actually reads the first paragraph of Wikipedia, and then it lays visual with that imagery, and it's just amazing. And the second one I'll just walk you through now. It's called relationshipfinder.dppedia.org. I'm not going to talk about DPpedia too long, but effectively DPpedia is Wikipedia turned into a database, so machine can use it. So here's the example. This is a relationship finder. We've got Ford Motor Company here and Peugeot there. And the machine goes away and finds relationship between those two. And what it tells us is that Peugeot manufacture Peugeot 407, which is similar to Ford Mondeo, manufactured by Ford. This is a machine working on its own, no human intervention, which tells us and provides us with knowledge. So we actually lifted now. We're at this level where we can get the machine to work for us and deliver knowledge. So arguably, you can say that if data is the low level, that's the cheapest, 1p. Vision would be £100. If we could get a machine to deliver vision, that would be the holy grail. And if you were to work out what's the currency and how much is it worth, then I argue that that's probably how you could talk about it. If you think about Facebook, because there is so much information, they can deliver better knowledge that maybe Google can. So, very briefly, there's new rules for marketing. You're all familiar with the 4 Ps. They're now becoming 4 Es, where product is experience, price is an exchange, place is every place, and promotion is evangelism. A couple of examples. Facebook, 1 billion users, 99.9% of those billion users never bought Facebook. It's not that you go to a shop and buy. Yet they use it for 7 hours, I think on average, per month. So delivered for free, so there's no price. But the price is actually an exchange. You exchange your data, you exchange time-consuming advertising and so on. The music industry is another industry that went through exactly that. In the past, CDs were produced, that was a product. It has a price of 15 quid. Music industry spending a lot of money promoting it. And then it didn't matter how often you were listening to the track, once you bought it, job was done, 15 quid in the bank. Today that's completely shelved, it's completely different. The way you consume music now is through Spotify. And so it's very important that the product is as better as possible because you want the user to listen 100 times. Because if I listen to a Lady Gaga track 100 times, then that's 100 times more money in the bank for Lady Gaga than if I was listening 1 time. The iPad is another perfect example. When it first came out 2 years ago, people were like, don't need a product. I already have a smartphone and I have a laptop. Why this other screen in the middle? Look at where we are now. The other day I was tweeting. Now we have literally every inch available between 3 inch all the way to 11 inches. We've got screens we can buy. The reason is they've pushed it as the 4 Ps. The 4 Es, sorry. It's an experience. It's not a product. And people evangelize it like hell about how great the product is. Maslow hierarchy of needs. You're probably familiar with those hierarchy, and we talk a lot about the top being self-actualization. He wrote this in 1943. 20 years later, he wrote another book where he talks about peak experiences. And I don't know what happened in the mid-60s, but he talked about the sudden feeling of intense happiness, well-being, wonder, and awe. I don't know if I was smoking or anything like that, but it talks about this is possibly another layer where human really wants to experience those really high thresholds of intense happiness. And this is probably, if there's one thing to remember in this presentation today, this is it. So this has been established by a couple of students called Pine and Gilmore in the late 90s, and they're saying this, that they're using a birthday example. So in the past, if you want to do a birthday cake, you had to extract the commodities. You probably work in the farms, and then you had to turn this into flour and then make the cake and so on. That would probably weeks in the process. After the Industrial Revolution, flour were made for you, so you could go and buy it in the Victorian high street, go home, make your birthday cake, days in the process. Then what we're more familiar with, have no time, so I'm going to the supermarket, or even better, I get it delivered through the door, and I get the cake, and that's a few hours. I can just think about it and go on the way home or get it delivered that evening. Now this is where it's all about. It's about, and Pine and Gilmore talk about staging experiences, and that's quite fundamental. The first time I saw it, I was like, wow, you're going to have to be on the stage and start to do theater? Well, guess what? Steve Jobs, that's exactly what he did, every time he launched a product. But look at this birthday idea again. This is a birthday party, not a wedding. A very lucky 4 years old girl. And what's interesting here is the product, the birthday cake, is likely to be given for free as part of the package. So coming back to this graph, if you want to justify a premium price, then you've got to stage experiences, and that's exactly where Apple is. If you look at the Apple Mini, everyone asking why are they more expensive than the Nexus and so on. And more importantly, if you want to differentiate from your competition, then again, that's where you have to be. You have to stage experiences. So, you're familiar with Mad Men? Who's watching the series? I am, obviously, it's my industry, but the question I've asked myself is, can Mad Men survive in this new world? And if you think about it, a lot of things from the 50s haven't changed that much. I'm just experiencing it at the moment, it's very similar. Madmen must become massmen. And this is significant. So it's a different way of thinking. It doesn't mean there's no more madmen, but you need to balance it out with mathematicians or more technical people or left-brained people. So in terms of mathematician style, this is my hypothesis, which is equation. And CXM equal B multiplied by open brackets U minus NEEK, close bracket square, over B. And then I think you get it, but it's actually not a mathematical algorithm, but it says customer experience management equal be unique and over be epic. So I'm going to walk you through those stages. We talked a lot about experience. That's the new holy grail. So we've got to deliver, and we have to manage customer experience. That's what CXM stands for, customer experience management. And this is the new CRM. CRM is very much a software solution. IT came up with those CRM, and it's a very inside-out model. CXM is an outside-in. It's about understanding the needs and wants of our customer and try to deliver for that, against that. So how do you deliver great customer experience management? Well, the bottom part talks about be epic, which are 5 key pillars, and that stands for E for environment. We have an environment, which is physical world, we all know, we live in. But about 10 years ago, we invented a new world, which is the virtual world, social media. A lot of things are happening there. We need to understand that environment as well as the physical one. So that's E. C stands for customer. In that world, we have customer, and the shoppers, they buy houses, they buy cars, they consume constantly. Again, we need to understand, that's the most important, is understand the needs and wants of those customers. Then we hear brands, we want to talk to them, show them how beautiful we are, how we can change their life, how we can help them, and so on. So that's the role of a lot of branding agencies and advertising and so on. So that's 3. The next one is, my favorite one, is the interface. This is the touch points, and this is where the experience happens. So this is critical. You've got to master that interface, whatever that is. It's a phone call to the help desk, whether it's the guy coming and deliver the pizza to you, whether it's a brick and mortar when you go in a shop, or online, obviously, where you interact quite a lot nowadays. And then the last one is P for platform. That's the platform, that's the IT, this is the processes, the governance and so on you've got to have in place to deliver on this promise. So that's the Be Epic. Then we have the top part here, and what we see here is a word called NEEK, which is a street word, I found out, of a merge of nerd and geek going together. And I thought, actually, there's something interesting here. So if you think about nerds being more the marketing scientists, that's how you need to structure your organization. They need to bring marketing scientists in the organization, in the marketing department, working alongside creative technologists, which are the geeks. And those are the guys that will deliver more the customer experience. So what we need is to effectively deliver, and Forrester talk a lot about the need to establish a marketing technology office in an organization. And you want that to be made of people who can deliver customer intelligence and deliver great customer experiences. So understand your audience to deliver great experiences through the product, through your services, through online, whatever. So that's the NEEK part. The square stands for another meaning, which is you add U and that creates unique. And again, we know how it's important for us to talk on the consumer on an individual level. Personalization is a key aspect. And if I come back to Siri, it's about what we're going to do in the future is we're going to empower Siri. We're going to give our credit cards. We're really close to do it. You could argue we already do it. But Siri is going to have access to a credit card, and we will empower Siri to make purchase decision on our behalf. So if you think there's a lot of commodities, I don't care what brand of sugar I'm going to buy at home, or you could argue even crisps and so on. Siri will do it and do that all for you. So as advertisers, this is quite important, because if we speak to the robot, how do you influence a robot? Do you recruit a whole team of robots to create billboards and design robot idea? As brands, through eCRM, we already use machine to talk on an individual layer. So if you think about a lot of the email, they're personalized. That's a machine working overnight and thinking this guy has just done that, we send that email. But then consumer now have a machine, so are we going to have a machine-to-machine relationship? You know, what does it mean? This is the bit which is more about thought-provoking, but it's something to think about because it's going to come, it's happening, it will happen in the future. And then the last bit is be unique. So if I come back here, it says be unique. And to be unique, if you remember, it's about staging experiences. So that's almost the secret sauce. To deliver great customer experience management, be unique and be epic. So that's me for today. Just a quick summary. The key takeout is that experience is the new Holy Grail. Experience is what is mobile, not the device. Connected consumer wants connected experiences. Virtual assistants are our new best friend. Data as a currency. Search engine to do engine. 4 Ps are now 4 Es. And it's all about staging experiences. As I said, CXM equal be epic and be unique. So thank you very much.